We're continuing with proportions, ratio and proportions, and unit rate today. If you have the worksheet packages, we're still in packet 1, moving on to packet 2. Now, yesterday I made reference to a page on the worksheets that I wanted you to wait so I could explain those today. That's where we're going to start today. Hold your questions if you have some questions from working your homework yesterday, and we will take care of those at the end. All right, so solve each proportion, and in this case, the thing that looks different, wrong finger, is the plus on the denominator of this fraction. So I'm going to show you how to work this. We still do our cross multiply, and they still have to be equal to each other. So let me put this on the board and I'll explain. Okay. Now, the first thing that we need to know before we begin to work this problem is it indeed a proportion? We have to make sure that it's a proportion. Now, the definition of proportion that we've been talking about is that it's one fraction equal to one fraction, no extra stuff. Now, that could be confusing when you get to something like this, because this sort of looks like extra stuff, but it is the denominator. This whole thing is the denominator. So I would encourage you to put this in parentheses. This will help you also work the problem. So if you see several things as part of a fraction, put those in parentheses. I call it a set when I talk about it. So the v plus 1 is actually a set that is the denominator to this fraction. So we do have one fraction equal to one fraction, which is the definition of a proportion. Okay, and if we have a proportion, we know that we can multiply these two together, and the product or the answer of that multiplication will equal what we have here. Okay, I can see our need for a calculator already, and I didn't get those out. So pause. Do what?
We all have one.
Oh, Mary, did you buy one? Oh. Okay.
Not one.
It was one from in here or one that you had?
No, I got her one. I got her one.
No. What a sweetheart you are. Okay. So I just need my own then, right? Cool. Everybody in the class has a calculator. All right. So what we're going to do, this is the part that's new to you all, and we're going to multiply, okay? So I'm going to put the 4 and multiply it to this set. 4 times v plus 1, okay? That's the product of this, and that always has to equal the other side. So I have 24 times 8, 192. Is that what y'all got?
Yes.
Yes.
And when we have an equation, now we know how to solve an equation. We put our line down through the equal sign, circle the variable. So since the variable's on this side, we're going to focus on this side. Now, usually we would just subtract 1, right? We can't do that because it's inside a set, and you can't go into a set and take a piece out. So what we have to do is eliminate these parentheses. Now, eliminating them, in this case, you can't just erase the parentheses. You have a number out front times this whole set, which leads us to do the distributive property. If something's crammed together, it's multiply, and it says to take 4 times each piece that's in this set. So we're going to use the distributive property. There is an understood 1 here, so I'm taking 4 times 1 is 4, but it also has a v, so it's 4v plus And then I'm going to take the 4 times the second piece, which is 4. This is the distributive property, and that helped us to get rid of the parentheses. Equals 192. Now we're to a place that it's much easier for us to finish. We're still going to focus on this side. We know we need to get rid of this 4 and that 4. And it's very important which one we get rid of first. Which one are we getting rid of first? The plus 4, because he's the straggler, right? In our little story. So I'm going to subtract 4 here, and before I do anything, automatically put it on the other side. I've seen too many students start to do the math over here and they forget to put it here and get the wrong answer. So make sure whatever you put on this side, immediately do that, then start to do your math. So when you have a positive and a negative of the same number, they cancel each other out. They're additive inverses. And so that's 0. So all we have left on this side is 4v. And that comes out to be 188. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And the v is still not by itself. We'd have to get rid of this 4. How are we going to get rid of that 4? Dividing. Y'all are getting really good at this part. You just needed to understand the setup here. Okay. And so when we divide, we have a 1v.
And then it equals 47.
Hang on, I need to let Sherry in. There we go. And so V is going to be 47. Is that correct? Is that what y'all get on your calculator?
Yes.
And we've solved for V now. So the big part of this, the main part of this page is it looks like you have extra things, but you can have a whole bunch of stuff on the bottom or a whole bunch of stuff on the top. Just put it in parentheses because it's a set, okay? And we treat it as a set when we multiply. You put the multiplier out front of the set and use the distributive property.
So only when it's like a v plus 1, you put parentheses around it?
Yeah, when there's a plus or a minus stuff down here, then enclose it in parentheses because it's a set. And we treat it as one thing. You can't go into there and get a piece of it. Okay, you have to multiply it out. So are there any questions on how we did this part? Hi, Sherry.
Good morning.
You're on page 9 of that first packet, number 1. And we're doing number 1 on that page. It's the page I told you yesterday. Just wait on this so I can show you.
Okay.
Let's do another one on that page. You all look and see if there's something that looks like you would like for me to work on that same page.
Number 4.
Number 4. Number 4, yes, that looks scary. So we have 12 over 3 is equal to p minus 1 over 10. Now, the first question you always ask yourself before you start to solve this is it really a proportion? The proportion is equal, it's defined as 1 fraction equal to 1 fraction. Even though we have the extra stuff, it's all on one part of the fraction, right? So is this a proportion?
Yes.
It is, yes, because we have a bunch of stuff, but it's just in one place on the fraction. Now, extra stuff would be this. Okay, look at this, y'all. If I had this, then this is extra stuff because it's not a part of this fraction. Do y'all see what I'm talking about? Extra, I call it extra junk, extra stuff, stragglers. But since the minus 1 is part of the fraction, then this is a set. Do y'all see? And since it's a proportion, then we know that we can solve it by cross multiplying, okay? So cross multiplying means we're going to multiply this and get the same answer as when we multiply this. So here we go, 3 times the set, because it's the bottom times the top, has to equal 120. So we're going to solve for P, but we know that we can't take this 1 out of a set. So our second choice is to do the distributive property, right? Okay,
Right.
y'all go ahead and you can check with what I get. Remembering that this is an invisible 1 here. So 3 times 1 is 3. And the P is connected, 3 P's, minus, and then 3 times the other piece in here. Now you can see that we're not going to take 3 times that. First of all, it's on the other side. And second of all, it's not part of the parentheses set. So over here is just 120. From here, it should be smooth sailing. So now we add 3 to both sides before we do any math.
Yeah.
This becomes 0. We have 3P equals 123. Still solving for P, I have to divide by 3. Divide by 3, which gives me P equals 41. Is that what y'all got? Good. So that's cleared up. Let me look on that page and see if there's anything that's, let's go down to one more, either 6 or 8, whichever one you guys want. Well, even 3, but 6 or 8, let's do that. Number 8. We're going to do one more because there is a slight, not change, but something that could cause you problems. However, y'all are pretty smart, so you'd probably figure it out. Number 8. The screen just isn't big enough. There we go. 45 over 35 equals 9 over 7a minus 7. Now you can see here that 7a minus 7 is all the bottom of a fraction. So let's make it a set, and it'll make it so much easier. Now looking at that, you decide whether it's a proportion or not. Really a proportion because that's easier to work. Okay, the 7a on the bottom, 7a minus 7 all fits on just one part of one fraction. It is a proportion because here's one fraction equal to one fraction, right? So we know we can cross multiply. It's pretty easy because the whole worksheet are proportions, but I want you to be used to checking before you do it, okay? So now, remember, you can multiply either one of these. It doesn't matter, it's gonna work. I like to go ahead and get the parentheses taken care of, so that's why I'm gonna do this first. 45 times 7a minus 7 equals
315.
what'd you say, 315? Good. 315. Okay, so now we have set up our equation from the proportion. Time to solve. And this is the part I thought you might have trouble with. Maybe not. Okay, right here it says, we can't go up into here and plus 7. You can't go up into a set and take a piece out. What I tell some students, and this is just the way my brain works, I tell some of them that this set right here is kind of like these things are locked in a building, okay? And so you can't take anything out until you get rid of the building. Some students like to just blow up the building, okay? And get those pieces out. Well, blowing up the building is the same as getting rid of the parentheses. So however you decide to think about it is fine with me. We have to get rid of the parentheses. Since we don't know all of this stuff in here, then we're going to have to go to the distributive property. This multiplier out front is times everything in the parentheses. So we have 45 times 7, which is 315A minus 45 times 7, which 315. There's an awful lot of those in this problem. Okay, now it's time to just solve. So we're going to circle and pay attention to this side. I need to get rid of this and I need to get rid of this. I will get rid of the straggler first. And do the same thing to the other side before I do anything else. So now I have 315A is equal to, and you would think 0. I mean, when you just look at it, and really, when I was looking at this, I thought, oh, it's going to be 0. No, it says this plus that, so we have 630. We're not through yet. So since these are multiplied, I need to divide by 315. Immediately divide by 315. This cancels out to be 1, not 0. The number divided by itself is 1, not 0. A equals 2. Y'all see? So the reason I wanted to do 6 or 8 was because it had this in here instead of a 1 like we've been doing, okay? And I just wanted you to know that you take that times the number and add the A on. Okay,
I
so,
have a question.
okay,
When you cross multiply, it's not the same number. 45 times 7. I'm confused on that.
It adds up to 315.
yeah, that means whatever this comes out to be in the end, see, this came out to be,
Because 45 times 9 is 315. And 45 times 7A and is 2. It's not the same number.
it's 315A minus. Oh, so when we come up to the answer for 2,
Yeah.
this is how it works. Good question. Good.
Yeah.
So we're saying when we get the answer is 2, we're saying that if I take 45 and I divide it by 35, then that will equal exactly the same thing as 9 divided by 7 times 2 minus 7, okay? So let's go on. Instead of cross multiplying now, we're just going to work this out. So go ahead and do this in your calculator. This is like checking our answer, okay? So we're going to do 45 divided by 35. Oh, okay, try it again. 45 divided by 35 equals, okay, it came out 9/7, okay?
Yeah.
And you could get a decimal to work the same way. Okay, now over here, this side is 9 over 14 minus 7, right? And what's 14 minus 7? So what it's saying when we get the answer, and that's a really good question. What it's saying when we get the answer is that 2 is the only number that will fit in this equation to make it equal.
Yeah.
And then when you plug that into that place, you can check and see if it's true. If you don't get the same answer over there, you better come work this problem again. Yeah,
Miss Deborah.
I like that. I like that.
Miss Deborah,
Yes.
I understand how to work it out. The only thing that I don't really understand is up at the very beginning when you cross multiply.
Yes.
So you multiplied 45 times
The
7.
set. If it's a set, and a set we defined as, I'm trying to do this funny. Okay. Is something that has a plus or a minus in it, but it's all a part of the bottom of a fraction. If it has a plus or minus here, but it's all on one spot in the fraction, it's a set, and we treat it as a set. So I'm taking 45 times the whole set. 45 times all of the stuff that's on the bottom. 35 times all the stuff that's on the top.
Okay, so, okay, wait,
So that probably didn't answer your question yet.
no.
Okay.
I want to know, okay, so we multiplied 45 times 7.
45 times 7. So that's 315, but that took to an A, so it's 315A.
Yes,
Am I helping you with your question?
yes, and then you
Minus
multiply,
45 times that 7. It just happened to be 2 different 7s.
okay, so we multiply both the 7s. Okay,
Yes,
So-
you have to
so-
multiply what's out front times everything that's inside.
okay, and so the 35 times 9, we multiply that too, right?
35. We did the 35 times
Yeah,
9.
the 35 times 9.
Yes.
Okay,
Is that
I'm-
answering your
I'm-
question?
I'm lost. I'm sorry, Miss Deborah.
Do we need to do one more?
Yes. Do one that's got the whole set so I can see, because I know you're supposed to cross multiply, but with that set down there,
Which step? From here to here?
okay, so we multiplied 45 times 7, which is 45 times 7 is 315.
Yes, ma'am. And that one
And
has an A with it, so you have to put an A with the answer.
okay, and then
Minus.
then 45 times 7 again is 315.
And it just happened to be the same as 35 times 9.
Okay, so that's where the answer is. Okay, that's what I was looking for. I was looking for the answer for the top end. Okay, I got it now.
You're okay?
Yes.
Okay. Questions here? Do y'all see any more on that page? There's another page I'd like to go to in the second packet, but I want to make sure that you understand this page. 2? Oh, we just did 2. No, we did not. Apologies. Sorry. My mind works early in the morning. Number 2. This time, y'all, you're going to get to tell me. So be ready. I'll either ask questions. So if you're looking at this, what is the first thing you guys do? Make a set. It's Good. Yes, cross multiplication. Because that's the set, I just give it out of the way. Times the set. This has to be equal to what you get when you multiply it. Good, so far. Tell me what to do. Okay, good. She said, good, I love it. Okay, Irene said the distributive property, that was Irene, right?
Yes.
Uh-huh. The distributive property, because we can't pull something out of a set, so we've got to get rid of the parentheses. The multiplier out front has to be multiplied times everything in the set because a set is a set. Okay, so now we have 3 times 2 is 6, G minus 3 times 7, 21. Next.
And then you will, and then we will
What are you going to
take
do?
away, you add 21.
Good. Here's the G.
Get rid of
So
that,
she said to add 21, and before you do anything,
add it to the other side,
add it to the other side.
cancels out. And you add,
Uh-oh.
minus it, so.
Mary, you're the only one I hadn't heard from. What do I do now?
Go, Mary, do it.
Go, Mary.
Divide
Divide by?
6.
Ah, yay. So we're going to divide both sides by 6 because there's the variable. Divide by 6. And so we have G is equal to 16. And if we want to make sure that we did this correctly, you'll go back up and do a check where we'll put 16 right here. Okay? So let's go ahead and check it. Let's say 15 over 2 times 16. 2 times 16 is 32. Minus 7 is 25. Okay? So on this side, I have 15 over 25. That will reduce, right? Simplify
Yes.
by 5. Yeah, if we divide by 5 and divide by 5, then I have 3 over 5. Okay? Is that equal to
Yes.
3 over 5? And so our answer of 16 is correct because I can plug it back into the problem and I can find equal sides. Are we good?
Yes.
Okay. Now the next page is not new. You all were working on that page too. It had to do with unit cost. But they were word problems. I think we worked number 1 yesterday. So let's find one for me. I was going to say, I had some students that had questions on number 4, so let's do that one. Okay, I'm on this page right here that has the word problems up at the top, solving proportions, and we're in the same packet. Still the same packet that was packet number 1. It was, if it's in order, it'll be the next page after what we did. It starts with Isaac and his friends. Okay, so we're going to do number 4. I think it was Mary that asked me yesterday. Okay, it says, I'll read it to y'all. Derek uses a 52-inch flat steel bar that weighs 10.4 pounds to make a rack in the garage. Find the weight of a 67-inch steel bar. Number 4. If you want to snap a picture.
I got it.
Okay. So if you're going to set up a proportion, and the way you know you're going to set up a proportion is when they're comparing things. They're saying, so if this and this is true, then what about this? Okay, they're comparing two things. So you look through the words, you look through the story, and you see what two things that they're comparing. What are the two things they gave us in the beginning? They gave us some information.
The 52-inch rack,
Okay, they gave us inches.
inch.
That's okay. The inches of the bar. And what else did they give us?
The weight.
The weight in pounds. Now, our suggestion yesterday was when you were working your proportions, you need to decide what are they comparing and what are they wanting, okay? And then your next step is to set up the first fraction in your proportion. The second one will follow a pattern. The first one, you're going to write down what they told you. So what inches did they tell you? They said 52 inches weighs how much? 10.4 pounds. So notice that now, when you set this up, I want you to know that it's not a big deal which one goes on top. You can switch this and put the 52 on the bottom and the 10.4 on top. You can do that. The problem with this is when you set up your next fraction as part of the proportion, it has to follow the same pattern. It has, if you put inches on top, you're going to have to put inches on top. If you decided to put the weight on top, then you have to put the weight on top. You have to follow the pattern. This one, use their information and set it up however you want to. Now we're going to follow a pattern to finish what they're asking now. They said, find the weight of a 67-inch bar. So what information did they give you?
The 67 divided by 8
Which one is it?
on the inches.
Okay, 67 is the inches. So we have to put the inches over here, 67. And then they said, find the weight. They didn't tell us what the weight is, so we're going to find the weight. Now we use our rule for proportions. Proportion is one fraction equal to one fraction, okay? So this is a proportion. We can work it as a proportion. So we're going to multiply here, and that has to be equal to what we get here, okay? So 67 times 10.4
Is 696.
So I multiplied this way, and that has to be equal to 52 times x when I multiply that way. Then this, since you guys have been solving equations for a while, this shouldn't be very hard. $13.4, is that what y'all got? Not there yet? Okay. Good, good. Now, and I told you yesterday also, when we start to do word problems, give me a number. You have to tell me what this is. Is it Is it beanies? Is it hot dogs?
It's the weight.
It is the weight, because our bottom, we said, was going to be weight. X is on the bottom. So when I find X, it is the weight. So I'm actually going to write what it is. I don't say 13.4 weight. I say pounds because the weight is in pounds. Okay, make sure that you tell them what this is. It isn't 13.4 kindergartners, is it? 13.4 bagels? Nope. It's pounds in this case. So make sure that you follow through. If it's a word problem, it tells you what this number is. Any questions on that? Are we okay? In the class, I think they're okay. Remote, are you okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, caller, if you have questions. Now we're going to go to packet 2. And you started working in this also. I will review with you and tell you that unit rate means how much for one. How much for one, okay? They may tell you that 5 apples cost $3. So how much does 1 apple cost? If you're figuring the cost of one thing or the weight of one thing or how far you go in 1 hour, those are all called unit rates. Okay, everybody? Yes. Okay, yes. So we covered several pages. Let's do one on page 3. Looks like this. Page 3 is the one that has some word problems and it says unit rate on top.
This is packet 2.
Packet 2. And we're going to do, what did I say? We're going to do number 2? Okay. Or any of them. Do you want to look at a different one? Y'all look at it. We're on page 3 of packet 2.
Let's do 5.
5? Okay. Reading to y'all that don't have a worksheet. On New Year's Eve, the temperature fell by 24 degrees in a span of 6 hours. How many degrees did the temperature fall every hour? So they're talking about how much did it fall in 1 hour. We are on number 5, if you need a picture. Okay. So what we have to do, we can tell by reading this that they're comparing some stuff, right? What are the 2 things that they're comparing so we can set up our proportions?
It's gonna be degrees 24.
Degrees.
And the hour is 6 hours.
Good. Okay, hang on just a minute. Degrees and time. And in this case, Irene told us it's hours. Okay, that's how we're going to set up our proportion. Now, the first one we set up is what we know, what they told us. And again, keep on going. You're telling me. 24 degrees in
And
6 hours. So the first part of our proportion are things that we know. Then we're going to set up our next one, follow this pattern with the things that we don't know. They told us part of it, but they didn't tell us all of it.
1 hour. So
They said 1 hour, okay? So the hours needs to go on the bottom, 1 hour. And when we have 1 here, this is going to be our unit rate, okay? Whatever we get here is going to be our unit rate because unit is in 1, okay? And they want to know how many degrees in 1 hour. Notice that I followed the pattern. The hours I set up to go on the bottom, so I kept it on the bottom. Yes? Okay. And then to follow the rules of a proportion, I encouraged somebody the other day, I think it was Brandy, to put these arrows on here because it looks like a big O times. And she was starting to get confused because she had a times in here. So be careful about that. Okay, I use arrows so it doesn't get mixed up with a times sign. For crocodiles, I think I heard it, degrees, because the X, what we were trying to find, which is the X, is degrees. So it's 4 degrees every hour. Okay? That's our unit rate. Okay? The regular rate, when they don't say unit and they say, what's the rate? Then you would say 24/6. You know, that's the rate. But if they want the unit rate, they want something with 1. Okay? So that's how you're going to work those problems. Now, there's some other word problems in here that don't ask for unit rate. I want you to go to the very next page, which is page 4. And this page is entitled Unitary Method. Now, I never knew what it was called, but you're going to love proportions to solve this type of stuff. Here's the worksheet we're on right now. It is page 4 in packet 2. Page 4 in packet 2. And we're going to start with number 1, the O'Connor family. Okay, you guys read through it while I erase, and then we'll work this one together. Now notice, we're probably not trying to find unit rate here, but when you read it, you'll know that. When we read it, it says the O'Connor family consumes 20 jugs of milk in 4 weeks. How much milk will the family require in 8 weeks? So what 2 things are we dealing with in this?
Jugs and weeks.
Good. Y'all are getting this. Yay. Jugs and weeks again.
Those are GED now.
I wish it was that easy.
One question, I guess.
Okay, and I'll tell you one more time because being a teacher, you repeat, okay?
Yeah.
So now when I repeat stories with my family and they say, you told us that before. Well, I'm a teacher and teachers repeat. It's not because I'm old, okay? Not because I got old and forgot. It's because I'm a teacher. Okay, here we go. So you guys go ahead and help me here. If I decided on jugs and weeks is what they're comparing. So how do I start my first fraction?
You can do 20/4.
8 jugs in 4 weeks. Now they told us that in the problem. So that is how we can start our pattern. Okay, let's finish our proportion.
You will put X, since it didn't give us full, the information on that.
They didn't tell us the jugs,
Yeah.
but they did tell us the weeks, didn't they?
Yeah, 8 weeks.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So notice that nothing in here is 1. So they didn't say anything about unit rate or how much is it for 1. So they just want to do a comparison here and you use the same thing. So we're going to go here and here. Again, I would encourage you to use arrows instead of just an X. Okay, so I have 8 times 20, 160 equals 4X. Again, 40 what? Jugs of milk. Yes. Be sure and include your units now. When it's a word problem, include your units. Okay. they consume 40 jugs of milk. They've got teenagers in 8 weeks. Dang.
I have 2 boys that are not in teenagers yet, and they go through milk.
Now tell me this, okay? Now I'm going to add something to this. Okay. So what's the unit rate?
It is.
How many jugs do they consume in 1 week? So can I use the same information?
You know,
This is the same information, but how would I set it up to find the unit rate? Unit means
One.
1. So now I'm going to want to know how many jugs in 1 week. Okay, they told us how many in 4 weeks. And we figured out how many in 8 weeks. But how does that compute to how many jugs I need to buy every week? This is the unit cost, okay? So we have
that makes me use my brain more.
20 equals 4x, right? So the unit rate is 5 jugs of milk in every week.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yes. My sons drank a lot of milk, but I don't think we bought that much. Any questions?
No, I think I got it.
I didn't want to go any further. Tomorrow, yes, I hear Josh. Did you have a question, Josh?
No, I'm good.
Oh, I thought I was hearing things. But it's because I'm a teacher, not because I'm old. Okay. Brittany, Isabel, Sherry, Josh.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Now tomorrow, I'm going to start on similar figures. We'll probably talk mostly about triangles, similar triangles, but it applies to all different figures. We're going to start that tomorrow, which is Thursday. I will be gone for a funeral on Friday. No class, no Zoom on Friday. Okay?
Okay.
So when we come back, we'll do some more on the similar figures and begin scale factor. So what I'm going to do today is send you 2 more packets, packet 3 and packet 4, and we will be using those over the next few days. Okay, so look for those in your email.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
I'm good.
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'm proud of you guys, so proud of you. And I will see you tomorrow.